everybody. It's been a while since I've made a video. So I wrote a blog today, last night, and edited today, just covering some of the main issues that are going on right now in the world that I just cannot keep quiet about anymore. So I'm going to go through that. That way, those that don't really care to read can listen to me if they feel like it. So, I'm just gonna give you a forewarning. I am not a person that is going to beat around the bush. I will be blunt, and it's not meant to be hurtful or anything. It's just there's no reason to confuse people. And, like, especially if I'm emotional about something, I get really easily confused by people's words and stuff like that. So I don't like to be confusing. I don't want to so the main thing, the first item, I enjoy good conversations. I enjoy debates. I like to hear other people's opinions, even if I don't like their opinion. I like to hear about it so that I can gain knowledge and reflect on my own opinions. And over the years, some of my opinions have changed, have been shown that they're not accurate, or they're not how I would want to be. There's some more on that in a little bit, but one thing that is prevalent is racism right now. I mean, it's something that's always gone on, but in light of recent things, it has been brought to the light again. And even though I am white, I have dealt with racism myself, and I have dealt with racism with my family. Once, not just once, but many times when I was a young lady, I was told that I was racist against my own race because I was more attracted to black men than white men. One time when I was with my husband and his mom, I had an older black man yelling at me and calling me an effing cracker and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't bother me. I don't care. But it did happen. It's not the only time I've been singled out. My husband is black, and there's been times where when I'm with him, I will get dirty looks from other black people, women. There are times when I will be by myself with my kids and I will get dirty looks because they're dark skinned. That is from both sides. And there are times when we will be commented about. When shortly after we moved here, we were at the store and some younger, probably teenager, black kid made a comment, black and white don't mix, and with him and his buddies, and they all thought it was funny, and we let it go because there's no reason to cause a scene. But for us, we're like, well, we mix pretty good. I mean, our kids are cute. But I mean, that's just some of it. There was multiple times when we would go to a certain restaurant where we would be sat away from all the white people. If there were other black people there, that's where we were sat. My husband didn't notice because he's used to that kind of stuff, but I noticed. Sure made me mad, and for quite a while we stopped going to that restaurant because of being segregated from others. And then, let's see, my husband has been called names and the N-word more than I even know about. He's been the target of racial jokes, even from my own family. And, his stories don't even compare to what I've experienced. This year, my older son had a hard time at school because he was either too dark or he was too light. Somebody even called him a burnt chicken nugget, which at the time he thought was funny, and it took me a while to grasp that it was about his skin, and then it just broke my heart. And my little one didn't know there was anything weird about having two different colored parents until school started, which I knew that would happen because that's going to happen, but I did not expect it to bring so much conversation and having to reassure him that there's nothing wrong with him, like, despite all this nonsense and all the mess that we've had to deal with, I wouldn't change having a black husband or mixed kids for anything in this world. My husband and I are an amazing team. My husband is the sweetest, most loving man. He treats me better than any other person I've ever been with, regardless of their skin color. And, I mean, have you seen my kids? Like, they're seriously gorgeous. One of the things that I have heard multiple times from white people is, I've struggled and I've worked hard for everything I have. I didn't get any white privilege. And to be honest, I thought that way for a long time. But that's not what white privilege is. It's not saying that you didn't have to work hard. It's not saying that that your struggle isn't real. What it is saying, what white privilege is going in for a walk in your neighborhood and not having to worry about someone calling the police on you or a neighbor coming out with a gun. It's going to a store and not getting followed around just because you're looking around. It's seeing the police lights in your rearview mirror and not having to calculate if you can run because the chances of you living are greater for fleeing and eluding than it is to actually stop and have an interaction. That's what white privilege is. I don't have to worry about those things. My husband does. And that's sad. But that is what white privilege is. It's not belittling us white people who have struggled and worked hard and everything. It's not that at all. And this movement to say that Black Lives Matter, that isn't to say white lives don't matter. That isn't to say all lives don't matter. What it does say is that we need to be aware that the lives of Black people are not equal and are not being treated equally to those of us white people. It's to bring attention so that we can bring change. Let's see, what else did I write? Now, my husband and I do not have issues with law enforcement at all. There's no division between us and them. None. My husband and I actually both have our associate degrees in criminal justice. And if my eyesight and my clumsiness weren't so bad, I would be an officer in a heartbeat. I would love it. But I can't do that. I'm hoping to get into the field somehow, but being an officer isn't an option for me. But officers, we don't have a problem with officers. We don't have a problem with the process. We do have a problem with those who are not doing their jobs correctly. Officers are trained in specific ways. They are not trained to get on someone's neck. They're not. Especially if they're already detained. It doesn't make any sense. But they have to follow the training like they're supposed to. They can't just do what they want. And that's what we have a problem with. My husband has his own police brutality story from back in 2001. And he was not violent, nothing. And the officer just like messed him up, really. And the officer tried to upcharge him. Thankfully, there was a young female rookie that was with the officer at the time, and she stood up for my husband to say, no, it was not with violence, all that kind of stuff. So instead of getting charged with a felony and being a felon, he had a misdemeanor on him. Which, that's still hard, but that's nothing compared to what life would have been like if he had actually been a convicted felon. Like, that would have made everything harder. But I'm very thankful for that young lady that stood up for him, because a lot of people won't do that, especially if they're with their training officer. Anyway, that's something for in a little bit. Something else that I wrote is like a list of things that I hate right now. The belief that certain people deserve to die because of their past. For example, George Floyd had a criminal record, and that has been thrown out there multiple times, saying, oh, well, look what kind of person he is. His last arrest was in 2007. Like, it shouldn't even be brought up with something that is going on 13 years later. Like, that's just ridiculous. Another thing I hate right now, officers getting away with so much crap. Like, they need to be more accountable. The officers that are stand-up officers shouldn't get fired because they go against the brotherhood. I did read an article here recently about some of the stories of the good officers that got fired because they would not stay with the brotherhood. If I can find it, I'll put the link in the description. But it was crazy. I don't think the police officers and the police department do not need to be disbanded. They don't need to be torn apart. What they do need is an overhaul with the right people in the right places. We cannot continue with this corruption of craziness. It's not going to work. It's not working now, and it's going to keep not working. I also hate the riots and the looting. It makes no sense. It is pure selfishness, and it doesn't accomplish anything. It's not like the looters are doing their research about who owns the business or their political views or, any of that stuff. They're just doing it to do it and to get the stuff that they want, and it makes no sense. Like, you're hurting your own people a lot of the time. I mean, we're all one people, Well, a lot of people don't think that, but I do. Let's see, another thing I can't stand, politics. I truly hate politics, and I'll get to more of that in a second. And a very random one, sweating. I hate sweating. Like, I will sweat as soon as I get out of the shower. Like, this morning my kids were like, Mom, why do you have the fan turned in here? Because I had my stand-up fan pointed in the bathroom while I was getting ready. I'm like, because I'm hot. So, racism has never left our country. It has been going on continually, whether you have experienced it or not. Kinda like the virus right now. Just because you have not experienced it or you have not had someone pass away from it doesn't mean it's not happening, and it doesn't mean that it's not serious. Here in the U.S., let's say, like other countries, they're already on the downswing of this first roundabout because they stayed in their homes. They did what they were needed to do to be in lockdown. But here in the U.S., no. People are so darn selfish. Like, I don't understand it. Like, how can we be so self-centered that we don't care about anybody else. I don't understand. Like if I go to the store or go out to get food or whatever, I wear a mask. And it's not, our mandate does not start until tomorrow. But I've been doing it anyway because I don't want to get sick. I don't want others to get sick. And if I have to take my kids somewhere, they will either stay in the car or they will be wearing masks. It's not going to reduce all the exposure. I know that. It's not going to, it's not foolproof, but it's a tiny little thing that I can do that might help, you know, and it's not infringing on my freedom. It's not keeping me from breathing. It's not comfortable, but it's not such a big deal that I'm going to refuse to do it. Like, I value other people and their health and their well-being, that I'm going to do this tiny little thing to help if I can, you know? And it's a virus. It's going to morph and it's going to change and it's going to make another come around, but it has to run its course. Like, when we get a regular virus of some kind, we don't get any medication because it doesn't work. It's a virus. So if we are so busy being out and about and doing the things that we want to do because we want to do them, it's not going to go away. It's just going to keep going and going and going because we're not doing what we need to do to starve it out. So, let's see what else. I am not at all a political person. I hate politics. Hate it. Also, I don't really understand it a whole lot. I don't understand all the inner workings. It's just not something that makes sense to me. Kind of like, for me, sequence of time, like something happened in the last 100 years, I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was. Because my brain just doesn't work that way. And I'm like, what I do know is that the politics the way they are right now are not working. This isn't how a democracy should be. My kids watched Romeo and Juliet recently, and it makes me think of that, like the red versus the blue, constantly fighting to the point of being blinded to everything else. The people in charge are so busy going against the person from another, what's it called? I lost it. What's it called? Anyway, their party, the other party, that they're not paying attention to what is going on here for us normal people, non-political, not people in the offices. So if they aren't hearing us and aren't listening to us, how are they going to know what we want and what we need? And I do not care what party somebody is at all. What I do care about is their values and how it aligns with mine. Now, while I don't like holding someone's past against them, it does need to be considered when you're electing an official. For just an example, if someone has multiple racial comments and racist rants or whatever in their past, and then they come try to be elected now saying, oh, I love the black people, I love their lives, they matter, and all that kind of stuff, then you know that they're just saying what they can to get elected. We have to make wise choices, and we have to actually vote. I personally prefer to do mail-in ballots because then I can sit and go through each item and see what it's about and where I stand on it before I get to the point of having to actually vote. Like, I don't like going in and be like, I don't know what any of this means, and just guessing, because that's ineffective. Another thing I don't understand with politics is when there is a bill or whatever it's called to get voted on, why are there other things attached to it that have nothing to do with it? Like, let's say they're voting on healthcare, but then there is something to do with sales tax attached to it. So instead of getting the important part of healthcare and stuff voted through, it gets held off because of that other little thing attached to it. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand adding a bunch of other stuff. Like, do one thing at a time and make it count. You know? I think term limits are a must. If someone gets voted in to the Congress, what is relevant then is not going to be the same stuff that's relevant in 20 plus years. Like, they're not going to know what's going on if they're never in the state or the area that they're supposed to be representing. Let's see. Taxes. We all hate them, right? And I, again, do not even pretend to understand them. But I think it should be the same for everybody. Like, for example, for income tax, it should be a percentage. It should not, a person paying $20,000 or getting paid $20,000 a year should not be paying the same amount as someone making $200,000 a year, right? I don't think that rich people should get breaks. Like, if anything, it should be the other way around. Anyway, I just think it should be a percentage, and it should be a percentage that everyone, no matter how much or how little you make, like that, it should just be set at that and be done. Healthcare is very important to me, and I hate how expensive it is. There's many, many times that I have gone without getting help because of the cost of things. And if I have to pay an extra tax just so the homeless guy down the road can get his meds and feel okay, I am absolutely okay with that. I think that veterans should be able to go to any doctor to get the help they need instead of only being able to go to the VA, which is so backed up that a lot of times they can't even get seen. Like, it doesn't make sense, and it needs to be changed also. So here's a little tidbit that I know is going to step on some toes, and I'm okay with that. So here's what I wrote. Here's a little news flash for all you white Christians. Are you ready for it? Jesus wasn't white. So, I don't know why so many white people think that's a white Jesus, because it's not. If you bothered to listen to the Christmas story that we read every year, he was born in Bethlehem, which is in the Middle East. He's not white. He is most likely a beautiful brown color. And it just makes me smile. I love it. Like, I imagine him with this beautiful dark skin, with gorgeous caramel eyes that sparkle when he looks at you, full of love and adoration, and it just, I love it. Anyway, this is getting long, so I'm going to try to hurry up. But honestly, I don't know why someone needed to have a white Jesus, because it doesn't go with anything of what the Bible says. I mean, even the Garden of Eden, that's somewhere around the Egypt area, so that's not even over here. It doesn't make sense. And like, I don't know why. Okay, Jesus being brown doesn't change his story. It doesn't change his worth, and it doesn't change his sacrifice. And I know a lot of Christians who are not accepting or loving of people who are different, who are not white. And can I tell you something? That's not Christ-like behavior. That doesn't show his love. It doesn't follow his main commandment. Well, technically his second commandment, because his main one is to love him. The second is to love others. if you claim Christ, then you need to love like Christ. Christ's love is unconditional. It doesn't change based on who he is talking to. It doesn't change with what the person looks like. All of us are made in his image. All of us have sinned and fallen short. And yet he still wants us and he still values us. And we need to do the same to others. We have to value that other person, whether it's the meth head across the road or the old man with dementia. It doesn't matter. Like, they are important to him and they should be important to us. There are so many things going on in this world right now that I just could not keep quiet anymore. I had to share. And if you don't like what I said, that's okay. I don't mind. But many of these things are things that I have thought about and I have prayed about and believe that they are important, and that it's my job as a Christian to share what I believe is the right path and what I believe is Christ-centered. I pray that you guys are keeping yourselves safe. Keep your eyes open to what is going on around you. Don't just pretend that it's not happening. Don't just not watch the videos because they're difficult to see. And if you are someone that needs mental help, please get it. It is a really hard road, but it's definitely worth the effort. If you are one that does not need the mental health help, be the help to someone else. That can be anything from being a good listener to offering to go to appointments with someone, because sometimes they need that extra support. That's all for now. Talk to y'all later.